You can buy the best looking renovated bungalow in the Houston Heights and end up with the most expensive house on the block. Not because you overpaid, but because the renovation was done backwards. Money went into the kitchen, money went into the bathroom, money went into the staging, and almost nothing went into the parts of the house that you can't see. And that's the trap. And it happens here more than most anywhere else in Houston. So if you're thinking about buying a renovated home in the Heights and you don't know what to look for behind the finishes, you're going to learn it the expensive way. Here's why this matters so much in the Heights specifically. You're dealing with housing stock that goes back over 100 years, bungalows from the 1910s, Craftsman's from the 1920s, and cottages from the 30s. Most of them have been renovated at least once. A lot of them have been renovated multiple times, and the quality of those renovations varies widely. And you can walk down a single block in the Heights and same street, same year of construction, and two houses can be completely different inside the walls. One renovator spent the money where it mattered, the other one made the house look great for photos. You can't tell the difference from the curb. You can't always tell from a walkthrough, and you definitely can't tell from a listing, but you can tell if you know what to look for. Here's the single biggest tell I look for in a Heights renovation. Where did the renovator spend the money? A good renovation starts behind the walls. Plumbing, electrical, foundation, HVAC, drainage, that's where the real cost is, and that's where most buyers can't see anything. A bad renovation starts in the kitchen. New cabinets, quartz countertops, subway tile, wine fridge, all the things that show up in photos. Most buyers, when they walk into a renovated home, are paying attention to what they can actually see. The renovator knows that. So the cheap version of a renovation is simple. They spend everything on what's visible and skip everything that's underneath. And here's the part that catches people. The visible finishes might be beautiful. The kitchen might be magazine worthy. The bathroom might be Pinterest perfect. But 6 months in, you're paying to repipe the plumbing that should have been done before the cabinets even went in. The order of operation on a real renovation is bones first, finishes second. If the bones got skipped, the finishes will not save you. Houston Heights bungalows are mostly pier and beam, old wooden piers on dirt or original concrete pads. After 100 years of Houston soil, which expands and contracts more than anywhere else in the country, those foundations move, and a good renovator will level the house, replace rotted piers, add support, document the work, and keep the report. A bad renovator will put cosmetic patches over the symptoms, caulk the cracks, paint over the water stains, sand the doors that won't close anymore. So this is what you look for. Walk the house slowly. Open and close each interior door. See if those corner joints or have hairline cracks that come back after paint. Look at the floors and feel for slopes. Check the windows. Do they sit square in the frames? And ask one question. When was this house re-leveled, and do you have the report? A renovator who did the report right will have the answer. A renovator who skipped it will change the subject. Heights bungalows were originally plumbed with cast iron drain lines and galvanized water lines. Both materials wear out over time. Cast iron rusts from the inside. By the time you can see a problem, the pipe is already failing. Galvanized water lines corrode and restrict, water pressure drops, and lines start to leak inside the walls. Either failure mode is expensive once it happens. A real plumbing renovation means a full repipe. PEX or copper for water line, PVC for drain, and this is the one that gets skipped most often. The sewer line from the house out to the street. That sewer line is buried underneath your front lawn, and in the Heights, your front yard usually has a 100-year-old tree sitting on top of it. Tree roots find the clay pipes and they wrap around them and crack them and eventually break them. Replacing that line means trenching across the front lawn. Most renovators don't want to deal with that, so they don't. You won't know until the sewer backs up 2 years after you move in. And here's the tell. Ask if the plumbing was repiped to PEX. Ask if the sewer line was replaced or scoped. Ask for the camera inspection report. If the renovator did the work right, they'll show you. If they didn't, you will get a vague answer. This is the most common shortcut I see in Heights renovations, and it's the most dangerous. Original Heights bungalows were wired with what's called knob and tube. That wiring has cloth insulation in it, no ground wire, and was never designed for the electrical load of a modern household could put on it. A good renovator will rewire their entire house. New panel, new wiring throughout, grounded outlets, GFCIs in the kitchens and the bathrooms, AFCIs were required by code. A bad renovator will replace the outlets in the panel, the visible parts, and leave the original wiring inside the walls. You walk in, the outlets look new, the breakers and the panels look new, everything seems fine, but the wiring running between them is still 1925 era cloth insulated copper. with no ground behind every outlet in the house. And here's the tell. Ask if the house was fully rewired or just had the panel and the outlets replaced. Ask for the electrical permit. If the house was actually rewired, the permit will show it. If only the panel was swapped, the permit will show that too. This is one place where the paperwork will actually tell you the truth before the walls do. Heights bungalows weren't built for central air. They were built for cross ventilation, transom windows, and ceiling fans. Adding modern HVAC to a 100-year-old home is genuinely hard to do, and it's where a lot of renovations cut corners. Common shortcuts are undersized condensing units that can't keep up with the Houston summers, ductwork that's crammed into a tight attic with sharp bends and long runs that kill the system's efficiency, return air vents missing in half the rooms. But what it actually feels like to live there would be some rooms are cold, some are hot, and the system runs constantly. Your electric bill in August is through the roof, and within 5 years, you're replacing a unit that should have lasted you 15. A real HVAC retrofit in a Heights bungalow is engineered, properly sized for the square footage, ductwork run intentionally, and returns in each room, and insulation in the attic that lets the system work. So here's the tell. Walk through every room in the summer if you can. Feel the temperature in each room. Look at the supply vents and the return vents. If you don't see a return vent just about in every room, the system was retrofitted on a budget. You can't talk about Heights renovations without talking about water. The Heights flooded badly back in 2017. Some blocks flooded, some blocks didn't, and on the blocks that did flood, some houses took on water and others stayed dry. Foundation elevations matter, block grading matters, drainage matters. A good Heights renovation addresses all three. Proper grading away from the house, French drains where needed, gutters that actually carry water to the street. Sometimes on lower lots, raised foundation pads. A bad renovation will put in beautiful landscaping that hides the yard slope toward the house. The tell is this: walk the perimeter slowly. Look at where the ground sits relative to the foundation. Look for any sounds of past water, staining on the lower exterior of the walls, settling in the landscaping near the house, mulching piled up against the siding. Ask whether the house took on water in 2017. Even if the seller didn't own it then, the previous owner's disclosure should answer that. And this isn't paranoia, it's the most expensive surprise that you can inherit on a Heights home. The paperwork tells you what the renovator did and didn't do, and in the Heights Historic District, which covers Heights East, Heights South, and Heights West, you can't renovate without a certificate of appropriateness from the city for any work that affects the exterior of the property, and major interior work still requires permitting. A real renovator will pull permits. Permits show up in the city's records, every system replaced, every structural change, every exterior modification. There's a paper trail. A bad renovator will do the work without the permits, and they'll save money on the front end and leaves the next owner, you, holding the risk. Here's the tell. Ask for the permit history on the house. The seller should be able to pull it. If the renovation was permitted, then the records will show electrical, plumbing, HVAC, foundation work, structural changes, all line itemed and inspected. If you find a renovated house with no permitted history covering the work, you have a problem. You're inheriting unpermitted work that the city can actually require you to fix later, and you're getting no guarantee that any of the work was actually done to code. And here's the flip side. If you're a Heights homeowner who renovated your house properly, you pulled permits, you did the bones, you kept the receipts, this paperwork is what gets you top dollar. The buyers watching this video are going to ask for it. Sellers who have this documentation really mark it in a completely different category from the flips on the same block. That's a real advantage. You just need a broker who knows how to show it to them. The last thing I want you to understand is how the cosmetic trap actually works. A flipped Heights bungalow is staged to photograph well and walk well. Bright white walls, new light fixtures, quartz everywhere, and neutral plants in every corner. Everything looks Pinterest clean. Your eye is trained by Zillow and Instagram to read those cues as quality. But they're actually not signals of quality. They're signals of a staging budget. And so the actual quality signals are different. A roof permit from last year, a panel upgrade with documentation, a sewer scope in the listing materials, a foundation report dated within the last 24 months, a receipt from a real licensed contract on all the major systems. Those are the documents that tell you the renovator spent their money on the right things. They're also the documents that almost never show up in listing photos. Here's the trade-off though. A house that's properly renovated and documented sometimes shows worse in photos than a flip because the renovator spent the money where you couldn't see it. The kitchen is fine, but not magazine perfect. The fixtures are functional, but not Instagram friendly. The cosmetic didn't get the budget, the bones did. And those are the houses I tell my buyers to look harder at. Here's the principle. In Houston Heights, you're not buying a house, you're buying a renovation history. Every house here is the layered result of whoever owned it last and what they decided to spend money on. Some of those renovators were done by people who understood old houses, and some weren't. And the difference between the two is 6 figures over the life of the home. Buy the bones, not the kitchen. Buy the paper, not the staging. Buy the renovator's discipline, not the photographer's lighting. And if you're a Heights homeowner who renovated your home the right way, this is also the answer to why your home is worth more than the comp 2 blocks over that's been sitting on the market for 90 days. The right buyer is looking for what you built. They just need a broker who knows how to show it to them. And that's the entire game. If you're shopping renovated homes in Houston Heights and you want a second set of eyes on what's actually behind the walls before you write that offer, that's the work I do. WilliamWeaver.com, or text me directly at 832-447-6810. I'm William Weaver, broker, WSW Realty.